Let's cut right to the chase. Creative people are pretty nuts, and I know this because I'm one of them. If you're like me, you wonder, how do people get over the issues we face? That's what this show is all about. Think of each episode as a warm bath for the soul. We're all in this together, so let's do something good with the time we have left. This show is my love letter to the human condition. This, my friends, is Sentimental Illness.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I can't sing. All right, guys, hey, check it out. I have really bad allergies today. I know I start every show with some negative crap, so I'm sorry, but it's true. Oh my God, I woke up this morning, so none of you care, but I got to tell you the story anyway. I sleep with the window open. I like a nice, cool, brisk room. And for some reason, there must be something outside my window. I have absolutely no idea what it is that I, in my late 50s, have decided to become allergic to because never had any issues as a kid. And then all of a sudden, kablam. And I mean, we're talking months now. My nose has been basically stuffed up. I don't know what the problem is, but I do know that it's a struggle all the time. And this morning especially. I mean, my nose is just through the floor. It's awful. So I'm just whining a little bit in advance. Look, I have an amazing guest today. Very, very excited about that. But before we bring him on, I wanted to vent a little again about this diabetes thing. So here's the reality, guys. It's just like what I said about allergies a few seconds ago. You got to take care of yourself. Not everybody, obviously, is born with diabetes. I was not born with diabetes. I developed diabetes because I'm an idiot American who likes sweets too much. That's pretty much the truth. And I don't have it bad, so to speak, but I have definitely made it worse over the last few years because I have continued to maintain a very poor diet. And that has not worked well for me. So now, kind of everything that diabetes sufferers deal with, I'm starting to deal with. Nerve damage and yeah, it sucks. So for God's sake, don't be full of American hubris. Don't be full of crap. Take care of yourselves when your doctor tells you, dude, bring it down a little. Bring it down a little. You know what I'm saying? Okay. The last thing is a close friend of mine, not on the diabetic side, but on the alcoholism side, decided to drink himself into a coma and found out yesterday. And turns out he has they call it like a blood abscess or I don't know. He had some sort of abscess in his gut, which basically led to, what's the term? Gosh, I'm feeling like an idiot right now. Where he has sepsis. There you go, sepsis. And yeah, they hospitalized him. They cut him open from the groin to the top of his neck and opened him up, flayed him out, and searched around all the insides to find the problems in his body, sewed him up, and now he's going to be on a ventilator for 6 weeks, if he survives. And it's another one of those reminders that you got to take care of your shit because you can't be a big, fat, dumb American forever. You don't get to do that. You don't get to live. There's no such thing as an old fat person. Take care of yourselves, people. Stay off the drugs, kids. Oh, that was fun. All right. So, I know you guys know this. I'm yelling. I should bring it down. Bring it down, Rob. Bring it down. I'm very excited. I know you know this. Being a former professional musician, I would like to think I have a pretty good ear. I would like to think I have pretty excellent taste. I grew up on a number of different styles of music, so I'm very much genre fluid. I don't have any issues with any style of music. The heaviest heavy, the lightest light. Take me to the Carpenters, take me to Venom. We're good. We're good all the way around. Pop punk. I kind of bristle at that term, but man, There are certain styles of music that take you to an era, drop you firmly there, and you're in this incredible place, this place of nostalgia and joy. And for me, when people ask my favorite decades of music, there's two. There's the 90s and there's the 70s. Now, I like the other stuff too. I like modern stuff. There's actually some good stuff from the 80s, early 80s typically, but post 85, not so much. That being said, love the 90s. Tons of one-hit wonders, but man, some just great ditties, great short songs, stuff like, Blur, Song 2. So many great, great songs. Well, that's the era, of course, when pop punk really came to the forefront, right? You got the Blink 182s, you got the Sum 41s, the bands with numbers in them, and then, of course, the Green Days. So I hear this band from France, and I'm telling you, I know what I'm talking about here, guys. Just bear with me. I'm telling you, this is the next thing. This band is the next thing. And I don't want to say mostly due to my guest, but definitely partly due to my guest. Last night, I'm sitting in the house, listening to music, having a good old time. My wife comes home from work, and my wife is in her late 40s, so she's not necessarily into modern music. She's certainly not into metal as much as I am. But I play this band for her. And she looks at me and she says, you're having this band on tomorrow? She goes, these guys are famous. And I go, they're famous. She goes, I swear I've heard this song. And I said, well, maybe you have, maybe you haven't. I don't really know. In fact, if you've heard it, chances are you've heard me listening to it on the laptop or something. But she said, well, yeah, but there's something familiar about it. And I said, well, of course, because these are young guys who have been influenced by so many bands that precede them, but bands that affected us when we were their age. And she says, oh, they sound like Green Day. And I go, well, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I guess I'll ask my guest. But I said, what is it that's so special? And she said, that singer's voice is fantastic. And I said, I know. He's the guy I'm interviewing tomorrow. And I know he's on the other side right now, and he's like rolling his eyes because he's like, dude, stop, you're embarrassing me. But I'm telling you, she literally looked at me like twice, like she's like, this guy is freaking amazing. I go, I know. And then she says, you remember Caskets? And for anybody who knows, I interviewed the British synthwave band Caskets about 3 years ago. And this was before, I'm going to brag for a second, I kind of helped break them in the States. I did, man. I did. I featured them on my show, tons of listens, tons of downloads. And in fact, when I saw Caskets in Seattle, I was literally standing next to a young couple who said they heard about the band on my show, which is freaking badass. Anyways, back to the band. I said, remember Caskets? Okay, I broke them, or I felt like I broke them anyway. I know it's actually their management and PR, but, that's just me bragging a little. Anyways, I hear this band. I'm like, this is the next one, man. So I'm telling you guys, this is the next one. I'm going to make a fool of myself today because I'm excited. Mostly probably because I don't speak French. I can only say Je m'appelle Robert, which of course sounds like a white guy in America trying to say, hi, I'm Rob, but failing miserably. and I don't want to mock the French accent because it's a beautiful, beautiful language. But, Je m'appelle Robert. I don't know. Now I sound like an Italian chef or something. Okay. I cannot pronounce this man's name. I actually looked it up last night. In fact, before we started today, I asked him to pronounce his name. And of course, he's like, Dory Loup. And I'm like, fuck, I'm screwed. I can't say it. I can't say it. So he said, Rob, just say Dory Loup. Okay. But it's spelled DORY-LOUP. And my brain, of course, as an American, wants to pronounce the P, right? Dory Loup, right? Like he's a progressive jazz band. Dory Loup. And he'll say it just to rub it in once for me. Comes from a fantastic, utterly, utterly fantastic French band called Mirabelle, which I'm probably pronouncing wrong as well. But I love this band. They bring the best parts of the 90s and the 2000s to the forefront. Their latest release just floored me. They do have other songs. It's not the only one, but they have this singular track called All My Friends, which I just think is one of the best songs I've ever heard, let alone something recent. It is just absolutely fun. It's a ditty. It's like a carousing pub song. Everything about it is amazing. But enough about the band. It's my chance to speak to this windblast of a singer. So I'm going to stop gabbing. Hey, they have a new LP out called Welcome to My Funeral. It's coming out soon, actually. And I know I'm going to love it, and I'm sure you're going to love it. And yeah, there I am. So, coming in all the way from France, somewhere in France, my new friend. I guarantee it's my new friend, Dory Loup Venta. Here he is, my friend. How you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm good.
Good.
What's up, brother?
Oh, my goodness, man. I love your band. I love your voice. Everything.
Wow.
I mean, holy crap.
What a flattering intro, man.
Well, you're welcome. And again, everybody, I'm rubbing my eyes because my allergies make me feel like I've got sand in my eyes. It's freaking awful. So I'm going to be fidgeting all day, but we're going to have a good time, and we're going to have a fun chat. So we're good. Okay. And you're welcome, buddy, because man, oh man, you are so talented. And I wanted to play the song for everybody, and then I realized I'll probably have some copyright issues, so I'm not going to do that.
I'm not sure actually. I think you can.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but yeah. Just
Okay.
try.
Okay. Well, while we're talking here, I better put my glasses on so I can see, because the problem with being a 57-year-old man is all of a sudden your eyesight starts going. That kind of sucks. So where are you actually calling in from?
I am from Paris, and my band is from Paris. We all live in Paris. Yeah.
Okay. Well, gosh, now I feel like an idiot because I'm always so prepared. But I was like, I don't want to play it and embarrass him right now. But let me see if I can find this while we're talking. So the band is a foursome, yes?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
A quartet. How did you guys get to know each other? Did you grow up together? Was that a thing?
No, but well, it's actually a long story, but I try to make it as short as possible.
Sure.
But yeah, we started the band with my good friend Matt. He's a metalcore, deathcore kind of guitar player, and I come from punk rock, pop punk kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we met 3 or 4 years ago, and we started this band. Just we became best friends. Actually, I remember I was throwing a party at my place, and I invited like a dozen of my friends, and everyone canceled last minute. Like nobody showed up except this guy that I didn't know that well back then, and he showed up with a bag full of beers. Like, and I was like, I'm sorry, nobody showed up, but you can still hang out. And actually, that night we became best friends instantly. And we decided to start a band. And as I said, he's more into metal. And so that's what made the sound of the band. Like, I write the backbone, the pop punk kind of bass of the song. And he kind of add this, this metalcore kind of vibe on it. Yeah. And then the other two guys came up later. But we played as a trio for 2 years before taking the second guitarist, Pierre, last year. And obviously, I also have stories about the other members, but I'm not going to talk too long for now.
But I guess I should tell the listeners, too, that this is the first English interview you've conducted. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I am a groundbreaker.
Well, yeah, I think it's the first time that I'm, speaking English on the internet publicly like that. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident. I think you understand me, right?
Yes, it's fantastic. I mean, I cannot. The only thing, so I took French classes 1 year. I only remember I only remember a couple of words like maintenant, and très bien, the dumb things, right? The basics. But I only remember a few phrases, and the very first phrase in the book was "Bonjour Guy, bonjour Michel, ça va? Oui, ça va. Et toi? Pas mal."
Well, that's actually pretty good.
And
yes.
then the other was
So you know how to
comme ci,
introduce
comme
yourself.
ça,
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's pretty good.
Yeah, no, it's not. But if it's Japanese, see, that's the thing. My wife, as I told you before the show, is Japanese. And I started learning, because she was cute and I wanted to date her and I wanted to be able to impress her. And I don't speak Japanese very well, but the problem with my Japanese is my pronunciation. I think because I'm a musician, my pronunciation is so spot on that they think I am fluent. And so people just assume I'm being humble. And then they speak to me as though I'm a native speaker, and it's awful. And then I embarrass myself. So there's that as well. Oh, my God, buddy. Oh, my God. You're so damn good. Ah!
Thank you, man. Well, actually, I find it's kind of funny that's your favorite song, because that's obviously not our audience favorite song.
I know, it's obvious, but
it's almost one of the least popular, actually.
Well, they're stupid. That song, come on, man, that's all hook all day. That is all hook all day. That is incredible. That's an incredible song. Oh,
thank you,
wrong.
Man.
Yeah, they're wrong. All right, I'm embarrassing myself. Let's do the fun stuff. All right, buddy. Now it's Dory Loup time.
And now it's time for self-diagnosis.
All right, buddy. So I've been bringing this up a lot lately, but I love the idea that people's ideas are contagious. And, we talk a lot about influence in music. It's one of the common questions that people like me ask people like you. What did you first hear that changed your life? And so many people will say, oh, I saw the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show in 1964, right? They kind of give the same pat answers. And I'm curious, in my own way of asking, you're a young man, but what changed your life in such a powerful way? It doesn't have to be music, but what moment changed little Dory Loup's life to point you in this direction that you and I could be sitting here today?
Well, once again, I'm going to try and be as short as possible, because this is an extremely interesting question. But first of all, I don't come from Paris. I grew up in the east of France.
Okay.
And so I'm 27 right now. So I was born in 97, So I didn't grow up in the 90s, really. So when you talked about Green Day, for example, Dookie was released in 94,
Yes.
I wasn't even born. And so when I was like 10 years old, when I started playing guitar and singing, by the way, I think that's how I learned how to speak English. That's
oh wow.
When I started singing, at a very young age, without even understanding what I was singing, I was trying to imitate, what I was hearing.
Mm-hmm.
And so around maybe 9 or 10, I have an older brother that's born in early 90s, I think. And he gave me his CD collection,
Uh-huh.
He was like, no, I don't listen to this stuff anymore, And it was Sum 41, All Killer No Filler album.
Oh, yeah. Great record.
Blink 182. I remember which Enemy of the State, maybe something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And all this kind of music, The Offspring, even new metal like Linkin Park, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because it's not really my generation. It's when I was 10, it was already 10 years ago almost, or 7 years ago, something like that. And so, nobody my age was kind of listening to that stuff.
Right.
So I was kind of, thanks to my older brother, I was kind of like, I think I found my personality, with that. And so I was kind of the skater punk rock guy at my school, even if I was kind of on my own. And the beautiful thing is, when I came to Paris when I was 19, something like that, I started to audition for bands. I've had bands before in the east of France. I played in dozens of bands. But when I came in the big city, I was like, I didn't know anyone, and I started to audition for bands as a singer, as a bassist, as a guitar player. And I met a lot of amazing people, and it was kind of almost the first time that I met people who were like me. You know what I mean? Like, there were people who were listening to this kind of stuff in the northeast of France, but it's really rare, and it was really rare to find good musicians and people who were as passionate as me.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's I don't remember what was the question. I don't even know where I'm going with that. But
No, it's just what moment changed your life to the point that you said, "Oh, I need to do that."
Yeah, well, I think I've always wanted to do that. So I think the moment where I decided I wanted to do that, it's exactly when my brother gave me these CDs when I was 10. And I've never wanted to do anything else since that moment.
Yeah, that's a good older brother.
Yeah.
He loves you very much. Yeah, no, I love that. I think there's something about music. Well, there's something about art in general, right? Music, movies, paintings even. When we discover something that we love so much, it's very hard to not talk about it, right? Like you live in Paris. I've actually never been to Paris. I've been to a lot of countries in the world, but I've never been to France. And I imagine if I went there and said, "Hey, let's meet up. I would love to sit and have some coffee or a croissant with you," or something like that. And you would make a recommendation to me because of something you loved so much you knew I would love it too. And I think that's how music, movies, everything works is somebody we trust tells us, "You have to hear this. I think you're going to love it." And sure enough, that's exactly what happened to you. And maybe he grew out of it, but it was perfect for you. Because the fact is, Dory, those songs are unbelievable. That's great material. So of course you'd be influenced by it. It's so good,
Well, I think there's also, I think there's a deeper side to it too. I think when I didn't really get along with my parents and everything. And I had, I found something in punk rock music, later after discovering Sum 41 and Blink, I went into more, punk rock and hardcore stuff. And, at that age, I had really trouble with my parents and school and stuff. And so I really found something, something to, I don't know, something to help me. And
Right.
I was really feeling these, I'm going to be specific, but like I left home when I was 17, something like that. And I remember at age 14 or 15, when you have to see those career counselors, I don't know if you call it,
Yes,
career
that's correct.
advisors.
Yep.
And I was already like, I want to play, I want to play music, or I want to be a producer or recording engineer, something like that. And they were like, it doesn't exist. They were like, you just can't. It doesn't exist. And I was surrounded by people who really didn't understand me. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there's deeper reason why I was attracted to that kind of music, where I was, I felt like this was for me. And yeah, if that makes sense.
It does. It actually, so I want to say something about this story, Lou. I want to say something. Okay, listeners, if you have kids, if you work with people who are struggling with things in life and you tell them that there's no place for them, you're an asshole. Because here's the reality. You're either a creative person or you're not. It's the truth. That doesn't mean creative people are better than non-creative people. That doesn't mean that. But you're either a creative person or you're not. And it seems to me that creative people understand non-creative people. But non-creative people do not understand creative people. And I don't know why this is. But it is immensely frustrating the older I get, the more I recognize a common story of a young man like Dory Loup going to a professional or a counselor or a teacher or a parent and saying, I want to do this. And the first and only response is, you can't or you shouldn't. That is really, really wrong to me. And I'm asking that if you're listening to this and you're a parent of a child who is pursuing something creative, something for their soul, fuck you if you're going to tell them they can't. Because that's just not okay. I mean, it really, really upsets me. And I'm a good Christian boy, but fuck you for saying that. Because that's not okay, man. That is so wrong. And I know, everybody's like, well, we already know, we already heard this. I don't care. It is so wrong to shut somebody down like that. And yes, I'm a hypocrite. I'm a human. I've made mistakes. I get it. I've told my own kids, maybe look at a different avenue, but I mean, you're proof that somebody can be so good it doesn't matter. It's just it's a matter of time. I'm sorry for interrupting you, buddy.
No, I'm sorry. But I mean, maybe it sounds a bit cliche too, but I realized also later in life that maybe that's what made me who I am too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
the battle.
Yeah. So like between when I was 17 and 25, I was still kind of like feeling this need to revenge almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No. But now I'm more I'm more calm about this. I'm more like, yeah, but also if I didn't have to fight for myself, would I be the same person that I'm right now? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, well, it's true. I mean, it is true. Life requires challenge because you will never develop if everything is easy. I mean, there's a reason that you've heard the term silver spoon, the child born with the silver spoon.
Yeah. We have the same expression in French.
Okay. So those kids, there's a reason they're so insufferable. And it's because they've been given everything they ever wanted. There's never been a challenge. Life hasn't become complex. And there's always what we call come to Jesus. There's a come to Jesus moment in every young, wealthy, aristocratic life. Do you know who Paris Hilton is? You should, I think.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure. But, she was born into a very wealthy family and, struggled. She had a great life, quote unquote, until she hit a wall where she was publicly humiliated. And then, of course, she did the jail time. She had all these other things happen to her. And even though I don't necessarily admire her in the sense of like, oh man, what an amazing woman, I admire the sense that she has gone through what she's gone through in a hugely public way and come out the other side as an entrepreneur and a brand and someone who saw the error of her ways and loves the idea that her experiences could teach others. And that's what's important, is learning from it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And also what you said about creative people, I just want to say this, like, now I had the opportunity to quit my real job 2 years ago. Now I'm doing full-time producing, recording. I have my own studio now. So I'm recording engineer, mixing engineer and stuff. But, I often say to musicians, it's really hard to be a full-time musician, to be a professional musician.
Yeah.
But it can be some sort of solution if you're a creative person to do something that's adjacent to it, if that makes sense. Like do some, video stuff, audio stuff, if you really want to work in music. So that's an advice that I often give to people who are like, I am a creative person, but I feel like I'll never make it as an artist. You know what I mean? And I don't think it's a bad thing to be like, yeah, I'm gonna try this thing that is adjacent if I need to make money to survive. I respect that. That's a good thing.
Yes. I met a very, very wealthy man about 20 years ago now. Actually, probably almost exactly 20 years ago. And he was crazy wealthy, a full-on billionaire. And I went to his house, and it was 22,000 square feet. I don't know what that translates to in meters, but his house was like an acre. I mean, it was just huge. It was just huge. It had like 14 bedrooms, and it had a 500 bottle wine cellar. He had one of the Back to the Future cars. I mean,
wow.
Yeah, so much money. He had velvet walls. And he told me basically that I'm a creative, I'm a piano player. And I said, oh, really? And he goes, I just bought this piano here, and he showed it to me, and it was a player piano. It was very expensive. And his whole point of view was, sometimes you just have to do what you have to do, but that doesn't mean you shut down your creativity. You're always going to be creative underneath that. He just happened to pursue something that makes money. And I was telling I have 6 kids, and I have 3 younger children who are actually still at home. And I was telling my daughter that, the most important thing about life, you're going to do what you're going to do. It doesn't matter what kind of advice I give you. Nobody ever listens to their parents, but whatever you do what gives you joy. Do what gives you joy. Don't pursue it for money. If it makes you money, great. But do something that makes you happy. I mean, you really have to, or else you're going to be like everybody else, going to work at, a factory that you hate or a restaurant that you despise. And, you're going to give up on the things that give you happiness. You can't be happy all the time, but life isn't about happiness. It's about experience and being in your gift. So I'm super proud of you for living inside of your gift, Dory Loup. I really am. I think that's amazing.
Thank you, man. Well,
yeah.
I make half the money I was making when I had a good job working as a video technician in a TV channel, but it was worth it,
Yeah.
Now I'm self-employed. Most of the mornings I don't even set up an alarm. That's for me, that's
lazy.
No, but and I don't work less. Obviously, I work 10 times what I was working in my full-time real job, and I make half the money,
Yeah.
But I'm happy. So that's what healthy for me.
Yes. It makes me think, though, do you think that people think there's something wrong with you? That you're not participating in the world the way they are, that you're not being average? Do you understand what I mean?
No, yeah, I understand what you mean. No, okay. I don't really feel that way. But it's true that now that I'm not because I say real job, like as if my job was not a real job. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's also I don't feel, now that I'm self-employed, I don't feel like I'm kind of a misfit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I don't feel like I'm in society. Like a Monday or a Sunday is the same thing for me. You know what I mean? So that's why I feel kind of, outside of society sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I completely understand. I mean, I decided at 55 years old to forego everything I was doing and make a full-fledged attempt at being a voiceover artist and doing this for fun. I mean, sure, I would love to be a professional interviewer. I don't think I'm good enough, to be honest. But I do enjoy talking to folks like you because I get to experience a new perspective in music. I get to hear music that excites me, turns me on, that I can't wait to share with others. It gives me tremendous joy. So even if this show never takes off in the sense of being, a multi-million listener, famous brand, it's still really, really impactful for me and hopefully for my guests, because we have this moment that we get a connect that's really, really deep and special to me. And I think that, at least for me, and this is selfish, so I'm sorry, but for me, this show is cathartic. It is counseling. It helps me overcome my own demons, my own struggles, because I get to connect with somebody who has a shared perspective about life, about this idea of being creative. And I love that. It gives me joy, and I'm inspired by you. I am.
Well, yeah. Thank you, man.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
I think it's amazing. I'm sorry if it's overwhelming.
No.
I say all these things and it's just dead quiet.
No, sorry, but I was about to say that's what I love about your show. You go into deeper topics that you would hear anywhere else. So,
yeah,
for me, that's what makes it great.
Oh, thanks. I swear to God, I was not fishing. I was not looking for a compliment, but thank you. That's very nice.
I mean it.
Well, okay, so you're 27, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe you're too young for me to ask this question, but I think it's a good question anyway, which is, do you long for a period of your life? Do you, as a 27-year-old, do you look back and say, man, I wish I could do that part over again because I loved it so much?
Honestly, no, not at all. I've never been happier than now.
Great answer.
Sometimes I'm like, well, yeah, I think I was prettier when I was 21, shallow stuff like that, but
you're super cute. It's okay. You're fine.
but like, I know that I got better, what I do. And now I'm happier than ever, honestly. So simple answer for once.
Yeah. No, that's great. Do you look, as you know, because you listen to the show, I'm not a mental health counselor. I'm not anything but I'm just a dude. And normal is relative, right? I'm not necessarily normal, but normal enough in the sense that I would say, look, I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV. There's nothing about me that really knows anything, but I like to talk about the things that either inspire me or maybe even terrify me. Do you struggle in any way with mental health?
Sure. Yeah. Like everyone, but I think I'm not the best person to talk about it in my own band. I think because I was always a super happy person.
Yeah.
I've always been surrounded by people who have stuff like, but I'm struggling to how to explain this.
No,
but
it's okay.
I've had people around me who struggled with mental health, but me personally, I've always been super positive and super happy. So
yeah.
So I'm okay. But to be completely honest, I stopped smoking weed last year, and I was really struggling with addiction. With weed, and I know like weed is not the worst drug. And I know a lot of people that smoke weed responsibly. And just every other day. But I was, I started smoking when I was really young, when I was maybe 16 or 17.
Yeah.
And I always say, like, when you plant the seed that young, the roots run deep. You know what I mean? So when I was 25, I was not so long ago, but I was like, I couldn't not smoke for one day. I couldn't sleep without it. So at some point, I realized, like, you don't even realize it, like, from day to day, but it was on specific times, like when I had to go on vacation, for example, when you have to take a plane and you're like, oh, I can't have weed on me.
Right.
And that's when I realized, like, oh, shit, I can't just spend 3 days without smoking. And that's when I realized then I had a problem, you know. And I'm just going to finish with that. But like, I stopped right I quit cold turkey, but I was really helped by especially my girlfriend, and she really supported me with that. And I realize now, like, actually right now she went for a 2-week vacation. Right. And like 2 days ago I was like, I didn't want to smoke for like a year, and 2 days ago I was like, these thoughts were coming back, like, if you're home alone, if you go buy weed and you smoke, nobody will find out. These thoughts that you have when you're an addict. Even if I hadn't smoked for like I quit a year ago, and I don't even feel the need usually to smoke again. Right. But like when I'm in these dark times sometimes, or when I feel extremely lonely or bored, these thoughts come back, and you're like, what, like, will it ever go away? That's, I don't know.
The answer is not really. It's because you already know that you can disassociate with that drug. And I'm not saying because you started it so young. I'm saying that, look, we all of us, everybody in the world, there's somebody listening right now who's saying that doesn't apply to me. And you're lying. You're lying to yourself, because every one of us has some form of addiction in our life. We don't necessarily recognize it as a traditional addiction like drugs or alcohol, but it could be video games. It could be just anything, right? When you're doing something obsessively to distract you from the things you should be doing, or to distract you from feeling less than, that is a problem. And I mean, look, I've been happy my whole life until 2018. And 6 years ago, I'm telling you, Dory Lou, I hit a wall of some kind that I can't explain. It came out of nowhere. And the next thing I know, I was obsessing over how I was feeling, how miserable I was. I went from being confident and excited about everything and never worrying about, oh, it'll be okay. Someday I'll get wherever I'm going, right? And I ended up in a hole. I ended up, when my friends would call me, I would cry the entire phone call. And by the end of the year, I am eating marijuana gummies like they're candy, and getting high to keep myself distracted from how I felt and what I was experiencing. And that lasted for quite a while. And I would tell you that it even was the reason I became diabetic, because I am one of those people who, if I take a drug of some sort, I'm eating like crazy. And I can't control it. It shuts off every bit of my ability to, say no. So the next thing I know, I'm just eating, and I'm getting fatter and fatter. and the next thing I know, my blood sugar level is spiking up here, and I'm in a dangerous territory. And it's been slowly going backwards, which is good, because I would like to live a long life. But, it happened to me too. So, yeah, I think in the beginning I'm not going to speak for you, but I imagine it was because of the struggles you had with your family and you not wanting to deal with that. And then, it's everything is habit forming after a while. You do it enough, sex, drugs, rock and roll, it's a habit. So hard to deal with, buddy. Hard.
Yeah.
Man. Well, okay. So now that you're not covering up your pain, what do you do? How do you deal with struggle?
Well, actually, at least now I don't smoke weed. But
you're still doing it. You're just like, not as much.
No. At least now I don't smoke weed anymore at all.
Okay.
it's alcohol is not really,
Oh, okay.
and cigarettes is not better. You know what I mean? It's
Sure.
even worse. I
Yeah.
would say.
Yeah.
And especially with the band, with the band, we kind of really embrace the rock and roll kind of lifestyle.
Yes,
But
you
I
do.
feel it's because we are really close friends. We don't fake it. We even if we didn't have this band, we would be we would be best friends. So imagine being in tour in a camper van with your best friends. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Obviously we're gonna get hammered every night, and that's the vibe. But right now, I'm thinking about this, like the previous tours that we did was it was it was cool, and it was short tours, so we could kind of get smashed every night and perform. After we would drink after the show.
Yeah.
But
Good.
we
good.
could perform, like be tired the whole morning, the whole afternoon, and then kind of wake up in the evening and kind of perform. But you can't do that forever.
No.
And like I'm only 27, but I'm not 20. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And some other members of the band are over 30, and you get tired. So I think for this next tour that we're doing next month, we really have to find some sort of balance. I mean, we can't just be a professional band like that, don't drink and don't have fun at all. Like, we can't just become that, just like that. But I think we have to find some sort of balance. You know what I mean?
I like the fact that you said we can't. We just can't. We can't.
Yeah, it's impossible. What's the?
But you don't have to, though. You don't have to. It's okay. You don't have to. But you were telling me that you've been roughed up by cops. Is this true?
Oh yeah. We have I have a story about that.
Okay.
We were shooting our last music video for the song Everybody Dies.
Great
and
song.
we were shooting in the streets, and we were roughed up by cops because we saw a cop car, sorry, just driving by, and they were on a one-way street, but the wrong way.
Right.
You know what I mean? And Pierre, the guitar player, said, "What the fuck, guys? It's the wrong way." He said that to the cops. So obviously they just opened the door and went like, "And what are you guys doing here, drinking beers and stuff?" And we didn't do anything, actually. We were just hanging out and shooting the music video.
Right.
But they weren't here to just talk with us. So they actually took us, roughed us, against the wall and the whole thing, and yelling at us. And the funny thing at the end of the story is that the cop, he took out everything that I had in my pockets. Yeah. And in the end, when they left, I was like, guys, he took my keys. Like the cop, he took the keys from my apartment. And we were like, that's crazy. He can't steal my keys. And so we were starting to walk angrily towards the police station that was really not far. And just when we were arriving to the police station, we saw the same car stopping by, and I was like, "Yeah, we have to run. I think it's them." So I was running, and then I heard in my hood there was my key. So actually, he didn't steal it from me. He just put it back in my in my hood. And so that's when I ran, I heard it, and I was like, "Oh shit, sorry, actually he didn't steal it."
Yeah. You were about to get beat up by cops because you thought they had your stuff.
Exactly. And but they weren't really nice to us, let's say.
Yeah.
To stay polite.
Yeah. Well, drinking out in the streets in the middle of the night, that's the cop's job to stop the young punks from ruining it for everybody.
In France, it's not illegal in France.
Oh, okay.
It's not like in the US. You can't in the US. I know that it's not legal to drink publicly. In France, you can, absolutely.
Okay. Well, it is legal. What's illegal is driving, of course, and or letting minors, people under 21 drink. That's the other thing. But yeah, no, I mean, we're not allowed to like walk down the street with a beer in our hand. I mean, we're definitely not allowed. But
Yeah.
But we're not also, if a cop saw me walk with a big 40 ounce or something like that, he's just going to say, hey man, you can't do that. He's not going to arrest me. He's not even going to cite me. Unless he's a racist. In which case, then he'll do all sorts of awful things, because that's a whole nother thing, man. That's a whole nother thing.
In that case, they were just mad because Pierre said, guys, you're going on, you can't do that. You can't drive like that. They were just mad. And the funny thing is, we were shooting in a neighborhood that's actually pretty sketchy. And so we weren't even, the most punk guys in the area. There were other guys around doing drugs and stuff. So actually, they were just mad for no reason. And, I told this story on TikTok in French, and it got like 30,000 views.
Wow.
And it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad because you know what I mean. Like you sing your song, nobody cares, and you tell this kind of story with the cops, and everyone is like, you have hundreds of comments. Everyone is mad, and
right. Yeah, I don't know what I still haven't been able to break a code anywhere when it comes to posting online. I mean, outside of my own followers, I've never been able to break through. Not yet. To a mass audience. I've never gone viral, if that makes sense. Yeah, what a pain in the ass. Look, I want to ask you this, because you're the lyricist for the band, yes?
Yeah. I write, let's say 90% of the lyrics. Okay.
So you know as well as I do that words are taken seriously. They're people. So what you don't know is that I, as a drummer, I don't really care about words. I'm not kidding. I almost never listen to words, unless they're hooky, like all my friends, right? Where that I really notice the words there, but I just don't care what an artist is saying. I like what they're saying musically, what they're saying rhythmically. I like the tones and the drums and that sort of thing. I don't care about the words at all. But you are a lyricist, so you're going to be writing down your thoughts. Have you ever written a song? I know you're very young still, but have you ever written a song that you regret what you wrote?
Oh wow, I didn't expect that that question. Well, yeah. Honestly, yeah. Not in that band, but throughout my life. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I used to write when I was like 16 or 17. I used to write punk rock stuff, and I was really rebellious, and so I was writing extreme anti-fascist stuff. Like, I won't say I regret it now, but those were not my best. When you're 16 and you're trying to rebel, those are not my best written songs, obviously.
Sure. Maybe not your best moments, but it's how you felt at the time too, right? I mean,
yeah, absolutely, yeah. But when you look back, and there's well, I can't say that. I'm thinking about no, you can't. I can't say that. But when you're young, I started writing when I was maybe 12 or 13.
Wow.
I started writing songs really young. So I'm ashamed of so many songs. You can't even imagine. I remember the first song I ever released. It was called Paper Plane, and it was about me in junior high throwing a paper plane, in literally, like, I was so young.
Yeah.
So obviously I regret a lot of songs.
Yeah. I thought you were going to tell me that it was about you flying a paper plane, which would have been a super cool idea.
Yeah, actually, yeah, but no.
Damn it. Okay, so look, you are full of joy. You're just such a fun and interesting man, and I am having such a nice time chatting with you today. Do you have struggles? I mean, I know we talked a little bit about your past, and we talked about the marijuana thing, and then of course the things that you deal with sometimes with the band. But do you have anything that you work with that is hard for you, that that you have difficulty letting go, or do you just remain in a very positive place?
I think most of the time I just remain super positive.
Yeah.
But
Why do you think that is? I'm sorry.
honestly, I don't know. I've always been like this, and I don't know, but I think also, through music, once again, the whole hardcore punk rock ideology to me is about that. Is about positive mental attitude.
Right.
I know
Right.
to some people it's not that at all, but there's this side to hardcore punk music. The kind of about positive mental attitude. I'm sure Bad Brains, bands like that. From the early New York hardcore bands. I was obviously influenced by this philosophy,
Yeah.
but honestly, no. I think it's just I've always been like this.
Yeah. That's
However,
good.
uh, however, I can talk about something. As I said, I am the singer of the band, the lyricist, but I'm also the producer and
Mm,
mixing engineer.
mm,
And
mm.
so when we are in the studio, there's times where it's hard to have these relationships where there's several layers and several dynamics. I'm at the same time I am the producer, so I have to make decisions, and
Right.
at the same time I am also in the band, and at the same time I write the lyrics. So it's
It's a
kind of
lot.
complicated. Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially when I talk about relationships, I talk about when I have to say to one of my best friends who is like my guitar player or my drummer, I have to tell him, you have to throw away that part, or you have to shorten that bridge or stuff like that. I
Mm-hmm.
have to kind of say it as the producer, and sometimes we have I feel like they're like, yeah, you're just saying that because I don't know, because you don't like my part, but you're the singer, and sometimes I
Right.
have to be like, no, guys, I'm saying this as the producer. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
these kind of dynamics are complicated.
Yeah. No, I completely understand. I have actually done some production work. I've produced maybe 3 or 4 albums over the
Oh,
last.
really?
Well, it's been a while. I mean, I've been out of the business a long time now. The last album I actually produced was 2012. But that being said, yeah, I mean, I completely understand because, typically you're hired by either friends or certainly somebody that knows you, recommends you. And so there's still that friend relationship that bridges that. So you still have to tread carefully. But I understand completely. I actually produced a young woman's piano record back in 2003. And I remember, I mean, as a producer, this, you pick, in my case, this is back, 21 years ago. So you're picking the studio, you're picking the engineer, you're picking the room, you're picking the mics, you're picking everything. And I mean, it was different back then. I wasn't doing it at home. So it was a different world. But all that said, I remember literally arranging all of her music, all of it, and changing almost every song drastically. And she really, really struggled with that, of course, because this was her vision and I was messing with it. But that record came out so good. and
So you were right.
I was right. And here's the thing. It is a take. It's my personal point of view, and it doesn't mean it's right. It was right for me, and her audience agreed. But it is so hard to be a producer for anybody who doesn't know. It is so difficult because you have to go with the thing you believe is true. You have to convince the artist you're working with, or in your case, your band, that this idea is better than your idea. And then you're hoping that your audience agrees. It's a lot to deal with.
Yeah. But I think it's easier when you're not in the band, because the people want to work with,
True.
the band wants to work with you. They're paying you because they believe in what you do. Like they like your work. So
Yeah.
they're like, especially like I often work with, younger guys, smaller local bands, and so they're like, yeah, we've never done a full album or a full EP, so we trust you on this. But when it's my own band, and and they're my best friends, so they're it's harder to be like, no, this is my decision. They're like, who do you think you are?
Yes. I learned a lot production from, well, a couple of well-known producers. Jonathan Plum, who had produced, so many bands, Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam and Blind Melon. All I can say is that my life is pretty. Right? You know that song, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he produced that. And I did a record with him back in 2000, and I remember sitting with him, and he said the most important thing I've ever heard from a producer ever. And so I put every song I ever listened to through this gauge, which is the feel, the bounce of the song can never stop. So even if there are dead spaces, there has to be some sort of pulse hidden in the track, so the audience still feels the beat regardless of that stop. So you do it very well in All My Friends, that when the song goes broken hearted, right there, but there's this guitar thing that's happening, right? That I don't know if it's acoustic, but there's this guitar. I can't even think of the word all of a sudden, but it's playing through it, so you can hear that pulse. If you were to just stop, your vocal sure would carry the tempo, but it loses the bounce. The bounce is everything. And it was funny because years later, I was the last band I was in, the singer, I remember we were rehearsing something. She turns around and she looks at me and she goes, why are you doing that? And I go, what are you talking about? So I was being taken to task. And she said, because the bounce went away. And she was right. And it made me mad because I knew better, but she caught it. And I was so focused on playing some cool drum part, kind of showing off, to be honest, that I wasn't playing for the song. And so I think that's the key is maintaining the feel somehow, somewhere, because the audience, especially in a car or in a concert, they're not listening to the music like a musician. They're actually watching the band. Have you ever heard that term? They don't say, let's go hear a concert. They say, let's go see a show. And so they need to be occupied visually, but if the bounce goes away, they're completely lost. The band, you will lose that audience like that.
Yeah. I completely agree with that, but also
hit me, buddy.
There's no rules, so
True.
I hear more and more stuff where I'm surprised every day, where they don't consider at all what you're saying, and it works.
Yes.
Weirdly, because I completely agree with what you said, but I think I'm a more traditional producer in that way. I'm like, no, you have to keep exactly what you said. I often say that, but some people don't care about it, and they're right.
Yes.
And they're do what you want to do.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I have one more question for you, but I want to tell you something because I don't want you to leave afterwards, and I'll edit this part out. But after this is over, I want to play a song for you that I want to give you an example of what I'm talking about, because there's a very, very well-known European band that breaks the rules, and it doesn't work. And it's an awesome song, but it doesn't work. And I talked to the head songwriter about this song about a year ago, and I wasn't trying to offend him. I was just like, well, why are you if I could ask as a producer, why would you do that? And he didn't have an answer. It was just really, a quote unquote, a cool idea. But when you repeat the same idea over and over again, the first time is fine. You can get away with doing something outside of the box one time, in my opinion. But if you keep repeating it throughout the song, you're basically saying, I don't care about the audience. I'm telling you, I think that's true. Okay, so I've asked this question before, but I'm going to ask it again because I think it's a great question. When you are a happy guy, so you're not going to a counselor, but I will admit in front of everybody right now that I went to a counselor for the first time ever about 6 months ago. Still dealing with some residual problems from my past. And I've never, ever talked about it because I like to maintain a public persona, a public profile of being confident and aware and capable. But I was really struggling. So I went to this counselor and he said to me, Rob, can you tell me 5 things you are, 5 truths about yourself? And I said, well, I would like to be a success with my podcast. I would like to show my family that I'm a good dad. I would like to someday maybe buy a Porsche, some dumb things. And he said, I didn't ask you what you would like to do. I want to ask you who you are. What are you? Who are you? Where are you right now? Give me truth. 5 things that you believe you are right now. And I had the hardest time because I had been living my life in this weird place of someday I'll be somebody, which is embarrassing to admit, but it's true. Someday I'll be somebody, but I wasn't thinking about who I am right now. I wasn't assuming that Dory Loup might enjoy being here with me today because he finds my show interesting, or that, I could speak to Dima from Synoptic because he loves my take on drumming styles, right? I only saw what I hoped to be true about me. So I'm curious, if I were to ask you, Dory Loup, to tell me a few things, it doesn't have to be 5, but a few things that are absolutely true about you right now, what would you say?
Wow. Wow. I'm unprepared.
I know, that's the whole point.
Well, actually, that's one thing. No, well, obviously, I think I am joyful and happy, which are 2 different things.
That is very true.
I feel happy. I would say also I'm tired, but in a deep way. Like, as I said, I've been doing full-time recording and mixing and producing, and I don't get a vacation now. I don't go on vacation anymore.
Right.
That's what I said earlier. My girlfriend is in vacation for 2 weeks because she's a nurse. She has a real job, and so she can take a vacation. I can't really, and it's not because of money only. It's because I don't have time. That's the worst part, is that I don't make a lot of money, but I have a lot of clients.
That's good. I'm glad you do.
Yeah, and so what I would. So yeah, I'm tired, and but doesn't mean I'm unhappy. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
Those are 3 good ones. Those are 3 great ones. I mean, knowing you're happy, knowing you have joy, that's fantastic. Yeah. And it overrides the tired, and it's a good kind of tired anyway.
Yeah, and I would say, I would even go to 5. I am hopeful, also, and super grateful.
You go.
Earlier, you said you all your life you thought like I'm going to be. I honestly I don't feel like this. I'm more like I went so more farther. That's what. Mm-hmm. That I even thought I would ever go. When I was this 15-year-old boy, and they said, no, you can't do music. You can't. now I'm doing this. I'm not, I'm not famous. I'm not rich. I'm not anything, but I don't really care because it's so much more than what they told me when I was 15. So
Right.
I'm so grateful for that. And, it's kind of extreme to say that, but I'm always like, I could die tomorrow. It's okay. It's already, I've been through, way more than I ever thought I would go through. That sounds kind
Yeah.
of dark, but that's actually positive.
No, it doesn't sound dark to me at all. I mean, I think I'm going to make you uncomfortable, but I think you're one of my favorite guests ever because you said it perfectly. You have tremendous joy. And the fact that you use the word gratitude at the end is, to be honest, something I have greatly struggled with my entire life. Finding gratitude in the middle of struggle. I have always been overwhelmed by struggle. And I love that I've weathered that storm. I'm sorry I'm making this about me at the moment, but I guess it's to amplify your message, Dory Loup, which is to find gratitude and to be satisfied with where you are and who you are, regardless of what happens, because that's what gives you the joy and the happiness to move forward. That's why you are who you are, because you have everything in the right order. And it has been just my greatest honor to have you today. I think
Thank you,
you're really, truly fantastic. So if I may end on this, Mirabelle's new record, Welcome to My Funeral, correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, it comes out September 13th. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. We have vinyl pre-order as well. And September 13th.
Yeah. So follow the band on all the socials, everybody. Blow them up, Mirabelle, Mirabelle. It is an absolute joy to hear this band. You're going to love it. And if you're in Europe, they have sort of a mini tour happening in September, right?
Yeah, only in France, but
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay, so not even Europe, just France. Okay.
Yeah, but soon, maybe next year.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I hope. I know the world is different now, and bands just don't go on these world tours. It's not the same as it was years ago. So I don't know if I'll ever see your band live. I hope I do. I hope I'm right about this, because I really believe you're the next thing. I really, truly do. And France deserves another band. I mean, look, I love Gojira. I love Gojira. I've seen that band more than any other band ever. I've seen them 4 times. I love that band, but I would love to see Mirabelle be the new thing, and I believe you have it in you. I love your material, man, and I'm so happy you were here. So thanks for coming, buddy. Thanks.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
You've been listening to Sentimental Illness with Rob Leland. Our theme song, Machine, has been graciously provided by Harris Heller. Don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast media. You can directly support the show on Patreon as well, where you can find us at patreon.com/This Is Sentimental Illness. It also helps us a lot if you rate the show online. So jump out there and give us 5 stars. And lastly, always remember, your mind will overthink everything, but your heart can never love enough. See you soon.